The Night Manager was an immediate hit when it came out in 2016. The mere 6 episodes left fans desperate for follow-up, and now it seems they'll finally get it. Here are the Night Manager Season 2 details you need to know about. What happened in Season 1? 5 years and a few months later, even the best of us might have forgotten the little deets of Season 1. Here's a short recap. The first season of The Night Manager involved Tom Hiddleston as the lead. The now 40-year-old actor portrayed Jonathan Pine, who was the night manager of a swanky Cairo hotel. There was one interesting thing about this night manager. He was a former soldier for the British Army, and once again found himself in that environment. Just like the plot of the book it's after, the night manager showed Pine getting pulled into a high-profile case where he's asked to investigate a corrupt businessman. Pine uses his detective skills to first get closer to the businessman's organization and to connect the dots of all the hints he gathers. During this time, Pine also gets involved with the businessman's girlfriend. It's a mystery as well as an action-packed show for detective show lovers. Plus, we get Tom Hiddleston unleashing his James Bond potential on screen, so it's a win-win. Alongside Hiddleston, the show starred Hugh Laurie as the businessman, Elizabeth Debicki as the businessman's girlfriend, as well as Olivia Colman in important roles. So how was the first season received? When The Night Manager first came out, people couldn't help but rave about it. Refreshing style and take on traditional spy stories was what made it so popular among its fans. The powerful cast with Hiddleston's being a special highlight was also very pleasing to see for fans. The show had many unseen twists which took the genre seriously and truly delivered what viewers were promised. The story, as explained just before, involved Hiddleston as a retired Army veteran who gets to make a brief return to his old ways of life. Hiddleston played his role with such skills that it almost reminded people of James Bond. There was one scene that was hyped a lot online, and fans everywhere were suggesting Hiddleston as the next James Bond. However, nothing of the sort happened. The show ended as soon as it began, but people kept buzzing about it long after. Even 5 years later, it's loved by fans just as much, and the new season just as awaited. So what will the new season hold? But more importantly, what do fans want it to hold? Let's have a look. When the miniseries ended in 2016, there was a lot that was left to unfold. Many questions regarding the plot faced fans, and they didn't receive any closure. This is also why fans were so upset when in the middle it seemed that there was no season 2 coming. They had questions they were looking for answers to, and they'll definitely want the upcoming season to have them. Among the many queries that fans had, here are some of the biggest ones. What happened to Pine's $300 million? One of the show's most confusing moments was also one of its most important. It happened when Penn sent a huge sum of money into a bank account right before destroying all the weapons. It was a truly iconic moment that helped the 6-episode series with its wind-up process, after throwing every kind of twist and turn along viewers' way. Pine was on a contract with the government, so it's possible that Pine transferred all that money to the British intelligence, hoping that it would secure similar contracts for him in the future. However, what's even more likely is that Pine either transferred the money to his personal bank account or had the help of a middleman to do it more discreetly. What about Roper's son? The next question is about none other than Roper's son. Richard Roper, who was a rich businessman, was played by Hugh Laurie in the show. He was a major part of the corporate world and was also involved in philanthropy, but it soon turned out that Roper's wealth didn't actually have any sources, and he exploited the military-industrial complex to fulfill his own greed. But even with his flaws, Roper is a deeply family-oriented person who'd go to any length for the ones he loved. When Pine let go of their differences and said Roper's son, he had nothing but admiration for Pine. It's an emotional moment that had a lot of intrigue on the direction of the show. The son simply went missing from that moment onwards though. The Night Manager had little interest in answering the question about his whereabouts, and that only added to its lore. Whatever became of Roper's son was of little importance. What mattered was Pine's realization that he couldn't punish Roper's son for his wrongdoings without letting violence's cycle continue. It was less about what happened to Roper's son, but more about what led to his disappearance. Nevertheless, it had fans scratching their heads, and they hope there'll be at least the tiniest hint about what happened to him. Why wasn't Pine held accountable? Pine was never safe from being a cog in the machine. While he was undoubtedly amazing at his night shift, he was still just one individual in a world where power lies in numbers. So when Pine double-crossed the Biers, it was expected that they would come back for revenge. They have all the chances to as well. Pine's action held consequences, but they simply were not supposed to affect the story. The car has been noticed for his often sour endings. In the miniseries, however, not the entirety of Pine's life was shown anyway. It was instead up to the viewer's interpretation to see the story as they liked. Just because Pine didn't receive any punishment for his actions on camera doesn't mean that he didn't at all. Instead, fans can view Pine's actions and think of an ending themselves. However, with an upcoming season, fans are still hopeful that it'll address this query. Maybe something will act as a hint of what the Biers did to Pine, or maybe they'll show exactly what happened. What we know about Season 2. There's not much that we know about the upcoming season yet. There haven't been many official announcements, and some key things are still unknown. But there are two major things that have been revealed. One is good and the other is bad. bad. The Radio Times has reported that the good news about the upcoming season is already known, that it's coming. However, the bad news is that Sussane Bier, who directed all of the episodes of the first season, is not going to return. That's right, the new season won't be led by the ever-talented Bier, but someone else. Bier didn't feel confident about leading the new season and wants it in better hands, as she claims. Even though Bier didn't want to just hand her masterpiece over, she thinks she can't do as much of a good job as she did the last time. She said, "I'm not doing Night Manager 2. I wasn't sure that I would do my very best work the second time around, so I decided that I should probably not do it and have somebody else direct it." It's sad that Bier won't be making the return, but at least we're getting another season. Apart from that, there's little info about the show right now. Things like the cast and the new season and the release date haven't been revealed in the slightest, and this makes things as mysterious as the show itself. Speaking of the cast, it hasn't been confirmed whether Hiddleston or Laurie would even be returning in the new season. That's how little about the show has been told to the world yet. However, fans are hopeful that the duo's roles would be rewarded to none other than themselves, and that they'll play them just as expertly as they did last season. The director of the last season has confirmed only one thing yet, and that's the fact that the show will be moving forward in the next season. She spoke of progress, but given her position as the ex-director, she didn't reveal anything else. It's also possible that the cast of the show may have trouble returning. Everyone knows that Hiddleston will be returning for a new season of Loki as well, which may mean that the two shows' timelines will be overlapping. On the other hand, Olivia Colman had received an Oscar since the release of the show's first season, which means that she might be in high demand these days and might not have the capacity for the new show. And of course, the ever-talented Laurie is also occupied with all kinds of projects that come his way. Now that fans know that the Night Manager is returning without Bier, it's kind of unclear how the new season will unfold, quality-wise too. This kind of uncertainty is kind of exciting as well, as fans have no clue about what's coming. Even thinking about the new season, there are a lot of questions coming to mind about the many aspects of the story, but among all the uncertainty, there's one thing for certain, and that's that the new season is coming, no matter who directs it, whoever plays the characters, and when it comes out. Well, that was it for today's video. Thanks for watching.